Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me for today's episode of the Market Snapshot series. And of course, today we are handling something very, very important. We are handling the NFP, upcoming NFP employment report from the US, and we'll be looking for opportunities there. So to start it off, let's just review currently what the dollar has been up to and to see what the market expectations are for the NFP. Now, the previous NFP number we got was a dismal number. It came in lower than expected. And of course, the resultant effect on the dollar is that we saw a relatively weaker dollar. But now the forecast or the consensus is that we are going to have a relatively strong number for NFP. And we're already seeing the dollar moving higher in anticipation of a strong report. So current consensus, we're looking at 150K payroll print today and a flat unemployment rate of 4.2%. And of course, ING is also saying that they are looking at 115K possibly and a 4.3% unemployment number. And of course, they're also indicating that the dollar is likely, the dollar could likely see continued support, likely, of course, from the Middle East time. So for those of you that might not be aware, please take note that the dollar at times switches to be a safe haven asset during times of uncertainty, and we're already seeing how that, of course, is pricing in the market. ING is saying here that the dollar continued to receive substantial support from rising oil prices. The latest rally in crude was driven by President Biden, saying that strikes on Iran's oil facilities were being considered as part of Israel's retaliation. The commodities market assumption was probably that Biden would have tried to prevent supply disruptions and an oil price shock before the election, hence the surprise. Today, the reaction to US jobs data will likely be combined with geopolitical and commodities spillover into FX rates and equities. The consensus payroll is 150K, but a greater focus should be on the unemployment rate, which is expected to be flattened at 4.2%. Now, looking at the previous number for NFP, our previous number for NFP, we are going to have a look at it. It wasn't that great of a number. However, the market is anticipating that we're going to have a higher reading. I tried to get forecasts from the different US banks, but I was unable to get a majority of the readings. But for the few that I saw, they are all estimating a reading of about 140K, which is higher than the previous number we got for last month. Now, for the month before last month, which was September, rather no, August. Now, going to the euro, it's saying here that we maintain a moderate bearish bias on euro USD in the near term, even if our baseline expectation for a tick higher in US unemployment should offer a respite today. They're also indicating that the euro could find support at 1.10, which is a big support, and a break lower could mean a correction extends to the area of 1.09. So that's it from ING. Now let's cross over to the DXY. Now looking at the DXY, we're going to look at it on a much bigger scale. At the moment, the DXY is looking very, very bullish at the moment. And I've just tried to write on the chart, take cognizant of some of the things that have been affecting the dollar or the dollar index. First thing is the ADP report, which we got released on Wednesday. The ADP report came in very, very bullish for the dollar. We saw a number of 143K versus the previous number of 99K. And of course, this was despite a revision upwards to 103K. But despite that revision, it was still an awesome beat on the private payrolls, and we saw a sharp move higher for the dollar. Now, the other reason also why the dollar is moving higher is due to the tensions we are seeing between Middle East, rather between Iran and Israel, and they have also tied in the crude oil price, which again is trading much, much higher. That, of course, is giving strength for the dollar, of course, due to the high price for crude oil. Now, looking at things on a technical perspective, we are seeing that the dollar index has held this critical support zone, which it bought from in December 2023. And you can see that the last time we saw the dollar getting into this demand zone, it had a rally that took it all the way up to 106. And at the moment, we are seeing quite a number of liquidity sweeps, support zones that have been created around this area here, indicating that the dollar could have more upside. Now, going into today's NFP report, what can we expect? today's NFP report is supposed to be looked at in a simple way, where we are looking at a forecast of 142K ahead of the NFP. Now, if indeed we do get a number of 142K, what that would mean is that we are likely to see a strong dollar index, and we could see the dollar pressing higher and possibly breaking this level to trade higher towards 102. However, if we do get a weaker reading, or if indeed the NFP number comes in below the previous, then I suspect that will be bearish for the dollar, and we will see the dollar trading lower, possibly closer to its demand zone. Now, let's just have a look at the previous NFP numbers we've been getting. So the NFP numbers have been a bit, I would say, they have been very volatile. If you're looking at the numbers from the previous year, which is 2023, the September reading we got in 2023 was 246,000 jobs added for the month of August, rather for the month of September. Then, of course, we had about 165,000 jobs added for the month of October. November also had a few jobs added, that was 182K. And of course, December, largely due to the holiday period. Usually during holiday period, you normally find jobs added quite significantly. And we have seen that this is close to 290,000 jobs. This was in December. Now, in March this year, we had the largest jobs added on record for 2024, and this number is yet to be broken. This was 310,000 jobs, and if you recall, I remember this particular day when we had this NFP. I remember it was Eid. It was a Muslim's holiday, and it was a very, very sharp reaction to this particular NFP, because I remember we saw pound dollar selling, euro dollar also sold on that day. Gold also sold a bit on that day before recovering its losses, and this was due to a very blowout NFP report that we got for March. Now, as we go into 2024, we've noticed that there has been a very, very strong deceleration on the jobs, and in addition to that, we have also seen that the U.S. Labor Statistics Agency has come out and said that they have had to revise these numbers. Some numbers have been revised lower. They revised over 800,000 jobs lower. And of course, that is due to the weakening job sector that we are seeing over in the US. Now, the most recent reading we got for NFP was 142,000. Now, this is the number to beat. If we do get a number above this one, then we should see a big, big surge on the dollar. And this could continue into next week, which is the second week of October. Okay, now, let's have a look at the numbers, the forecast consensus before we cross over to the MT5. Now, looking at ADP, you can clearly see here that the ADP number was a bit. We had the number revised upwards from 99,000 to 103,000. But despite that revision, we still saw a bit on the numbers, where the number came out at 143,000 jobs. Now, crossing over to Friday, this is what we had on Friday. So on Friday, we saw the NFP number coming out. Brother, we're expecting the NFP number to come out at, where is it? Okay, so high, 142,000. That's the previous forecast is 130,000. So if we get 150, 160, 200K, anywhere above 142K, definitely we are going to see a sharp rally on the dollar, and that would mean that we will then see some sales on assets like GBPUSD and EURUSD. Okay, so now it's time to cross over to the charts. Let's cross over to the MT5 and see what is happening over there. Okay, so we're going to start with gold, which I know is a big interest for most of us. Let's have a look at gold and see how gold is doing. Okay, so looking at gold at the moment, first thing is that gold is in a bullish structure going into the NFP. Second thing is that we currently have extremely heightened geopolitical tensions, especially focusing on Israel and Iran. Just on Tuesday, I believe Wednesday this week, we had Iran sending ballistic missiles that were able to penetrate into Israel. And of course, what that did is that we saw gold having a sharp move to the upside, reaching as high as 2,672 before selling off from there. So the ADP report, which also came out on Wednesday, did little to sell gold despite us having a strong dollar. And so it has provided some bit of indications that gold is still going to stay mostly bullish, especially due to the current tensions. Now, how can we approach gold going into NFP? Two things. First thing is to first look at gold's levels. The level that gold needs to break at the moment is 2,686, roughly 2,685, which is the top level of my favorite retracement, somewhere around that 0% level. Now, if we do get strong NFP report today, what I'm expecting for gold is that we are likely going to see a pullback, very, very moderate pullback into this demand zone. Okay, we might not pull back so far down like that, especially since we have geopolitical tensions that are going to keep gold extremely elevated. So the most we might get is if we do not get a pullback into this demand zone on a H4 time frame, closer to that 38.2% fib level, which I need to mark. Let me just mark it there so that we can have a view of it. Okay. What could happen for gold is that we will then indeed get a test of this ascending trend line, which gold has been able to test previously. We saw a sell from that level there. And of course, we saw gold testing that trend line, rising off it. We also saw the same thing happening just yesterday, where we saw gold buying off that trend line to the peak of that descending line. So what would be the idea for trading gold? The idea for trading gold would be looking to have our take profit somewhere around here for selling it into the NFP release. I do not, again, like I'll repeat this, I don't expect gold to have a very sharp sell-off. We are looking at sell-off of roughly, I would say roughly between 100 to 200 pips. Could also maybe extend to about 230 pips on that sell. But an increase on NFP, definitely, we will see a pullback for gold to those levels there before recovering. Okay, so one way to approach, if you're going to trade gold, one way to approach it would be to use limit orders so that you have your limit orders somewhere around here and set your stop loss maybe about 50 to 100 pips below that limit order, just in case gold pulls back even more, you don't get stuck in your trade, but you are going to see a pullback definitely towards that area there. Now, looking at previous NFP releases, one thing that I've been able to observe about gold is that we have not seen gold presenting a lot of bearish momentum, even when we have NFP releases that are bullish for the dollar. I will just maybe add my voice to speak about the previous NFPs that we've had around the period of August. And even if you pull back to see the NFPs that we had around the time of March, gold hasn't been having that much of a sell on the NFP. We typically have between 100 to 200 pips. The times when we used to have 800 pip movements on NFP, 400 pip movements on NFP, we don't usually get those anymore. So you might not want to be too overzealous if you're looking at your take profit when you're trading gold. Now, since we have now taken into account the catalysts that are affecting gold, we have also seen that gold has been having very strong bullish structure. The 50-day and the 200-day are still so far apart, indicating that it's still a very strong bullish uptrend. We are still in a premium zone for gold, which means that the buyers are still active. Gold has also not able to reach or to retest its demand zones, indicating that the buyers are still in charge of the sellers on higher time frames, and this could allow us to see further upside. In case you have any question on gold, please comment in the live chat so that we can come back to gold, because I know gold is one of those assets that you cannot make conclusive analysis on it, since it's sometimes it's quite tricky really to determine its its movements. Now, yesterday on Wednesday, we discussed GBPUSD, and I recall giving you guys a bearish flag setup, which played out very nicely. We're able to get very, very good movements there. This was a pullback of about about 200 pips on GBPUSD. Now that GBPUSD has sold, there are a number of reasons why it has sold. First thing was due to the ADP report we got on Wednesday, which again was very, very strong for the dollar. We have also seen a resurgence for the DXY, which again has affected any upside for the GBPUSD. Now, looking at GBPUSD right now, we have two things to look at. First thing is we have the NFP report, which is going to be released this afternoon at 3:30. If the NFP report comes out bullish for the dollar, what we're going to do is that we are likely to see GBPUSD continuing its sell momentum, but the selling momentum may not be too strong. We might see a pullback below that asymmetrical triangle that I've drawn to see GBPUSD trade lower. However, if we do get a very weak NFP report today, I suspect that GBPUSD is going to attempt a recovery to possibly move into this imbalance. However, now that we are below our 200-day moving average, the fact that we are below our 200-day moving average means that the sellers are still in charge, and they are going to keep, they are most likely going to keep GBPUSD bearish. Now, on looking at it on the fundamental side of things, on the fundamentals, we are also observing that the Bank of England yesterday, some comments came out from the Bank of England governor. He's called Bailey, and he mentioned that the Bank of England could consider rate cuts in the near future. That has now seen institutions cut back on their pound long positions. Retail traders have also cut back a little bit. However, most of them are still long on the pound. So I suspect that is going to keep the pound weak at the moment. Now, if we do get an choppy NFP number where the number is not strong or weak, it's just choppy, then pound is definitely going to sell, and we should see it chasing to move back to this demand zone that we have around here. So now it's a bit, we just need to wait and see what happens, because I know some NFP reports are good to trade, others are a bit choppy, and you can't really determine their moves very precisely. Yeah, so we just have to wait and see what happens there. Now, looking at where we are, if you look at our fib levels that we marked, this is where the fib levels are. Usually, when you're trading a downtrend move, you need to set your sell limits for GBPUSD above that 61.8% retracement level of the fib. So, which means if you're looking to sell GBPUSD, you need to have your sell limits above that 61.8% fib level. And the idea is that if you see GBPUSD recovering to trade above that level, then you can enter some sells to chase it to move back lower. Okay, yeah, but for now, still I would be having a bullish outlook for the pound. Now, I just want to come back briefly to fundamentals. If I were to write down my fundamentals for the pound dollar, first thing is Governor Bailey indicated that they are going to look into cutting rates in the UK soon, in the near future. Powell also made some remarks on Tuesday, and he said that much as the rate cut cycle has begun, we are not going to be cutting rates at a very quick pace. We are going to move and keep observing the data as it comes out. Okay, so that of course puts the dollar in a very good position that it could, in the short term, recover while the pound sells. Yeah, so just keep that in mind. And you can also see the imbalance candle here. Very, very strong imbalance candle here to the left, which of course we sold into on Wednesday. Very, very strong imbalance candle. And we are going to see buyers having a hard time taking out these sellers that are here, because there are quite many. Yeah. So we are moving into EURUSD. So EURUSD, just like we discussed, we sold. For those of you that were on the snapshot on Wednesday, definitely it was a payday for EURUSD because we were able to get some very good pips there. We had a bearish flag that we created around there, and this was about 35 pips from the break of the flag all the way down. Again, also for EURUSD, we're also seeing that the price action is above the 200-day moving average, indicating that we are bullish and we are also trading in a very bearish, pattern, where the market keeps moving lower and lower, creating lower and lower highs. Now, how to trade Euro USD going into today's NFP. Now, for today's NFP, the idea is that we might want to look into waiting to see how it fares at this key demand zone. So the last time we were in this demand zone here, we saw Euro USD buying. There was an imbalance that was created along here. And of course, after breaking, we also saw that there was a bullish order block that came on the 13th of September. We created some kind of, this was a falling wedge, and we broke above the falling wedge. I remember that was, I think, a Wednesday snapshot, and we're able to get some very good pips there to buy Euro USD. So we're now back to that demand zone, and now it's up to NFP for us to see what happens here. So are we going to, are we likely to buy off the demand zone? Are we likely to sell? That's going to be NFP now to determine that. If we do get a weak reading for the NFP, then there might be temporary recovery for the euro, but it's going to be very, very limited, where it could just move to come and retest, could possibly maybe retest a bit of this bearish flag, somewhere around there. But I'm bearish on the euro, and I'm expecting us to see some continued downward move towards this demand zone for it to trade around that area of 1.10. So I'm bearish on Euro USD. In case we do get some recovery to the upside, I might want to look at setting some sell limit orders up there, just in case we see a move to the upside. Then, of course, we shall see a continued downtrend afterwards. Okay, let's move on to USDJPY. Now, for USDJPY is quite choppy. Yesterday, we had some very, very good movements for a number of assets. We had some movements for GBPUSD, which moved to the upside. We also saw a bit of recovery for USDJPY. Now, for USDJPY, I'm expecting a move to the upside from today's NFP. However, first of all, we broke this descending trend line on the H4 time frame. That descending trend line is actually supposed to be somewhere around here. So you can see we broke structure there and started moving to the upside. This was somewhere around here. So it was actually a break with no retest. The market broke there and immediately started moving higher. Okay, very strong move to the upside. Now, for today's NFP, I want to be looking into buys for USDJPY. We seem to be having very strong structure here, especially from this level here, where we are seeing price moving further and further to the upside. So for trading today's report, I might want to see how we fare in this area here. Okay, if we do get a break here due to strong NFP, then we're going to be having a move possibly up there, and we should see USDJPY trading closer to that level of 149, possibly even 150. Now, if we, of course, we do get a weak report, then it's very likely that USDJPY could face some difficulty and possibly retrace to come and trade down here. Okay, but for now, given the fact that the DXY is also, let me just show you the DXY quickly here. Given the fact that the DXY is looking quite bullish at the moment, I might want to stay bullish on USDJPY. Okay, yeah. The only thing or the only interference you have is the very, very naughty Bank of Japan, which always comes in here and there, you know, with their comments telling us that, you know, they might want to hike, maybe they will stay accommodative, you know, all these different remarks that keep coming in. And we can't be so sure what remarks we're going to get from the Bank of Japan. I'm just waiting for my screen to be shared. Just a moment. Yeah, so we can't be too sure what remarks we're going to get from Bank of Japan. If Bank of Japan comes in and said, okay, we are going to consider moving quickly with rate hikes. Even then, when we have a strong dollar, USDJPY is going to have a hard time buying, right? So have a hard time buying, and that, of course, will make things a bit complicated when you're trading it. Yeah, but for now, I might want to look for a buy on USDJPY. And of course, the buys on the dollar right now, guys, are really near term buys, because the external structure for the dollar index is a very strong bearish structure. Looking at it, if you look at it on a weekly, we also looked at it yesterday during a Twitter space. The structure is actually bearish for the DXY, and this recovery here is more or less short term. Yeah. Okay, so let's go back to the MT5. Yeah, so I think that's it from my end. So now let's just look at the NASDAQ. So for the NASDAQ, I had mentioned that we are in some kind of an extended bearish flag. So I think you guys can see it very clearly there. There was a bit of a sell that we got from the NASDAQ, where we saw it trading towards these areas here. However, there seems to be a bit of choppy price action. It seems to be moving in some kind of an extended bearish flag here, and it might be waiting maybe for further downside. But again, I might want to stay bullish on the NASDAQ, especially since we are getting closer to the elections. We're going to possibly see a break for the NASDAQ upwards. If we get strong jobs data, NASDAQ is definitely going to break to the upside, and we're going to see it trading above 20,000. So for now, I might want to look for a buy on a NASDAQ, aiming for 20,000, and of course, seeing to it that my stop loss is somewhere around these areas of 19,000, 19,600, 19,700, somewhere around here. That's where your stop loss should be. But we should see a break very soon, and we should see it trading up there. Positive NFP numbers are bullish for the stock indices. If you are a NASDAQ trader, if you see a strong NFP number, it's usually a buy for. It's normally a buy for things like the NASDAQ. Okay, so let's get to the questions now. If you have any questions, kindly send in your questions. I'll be able to. Oh, okay. Good morning, David Bondi. How are you doing? David, you're saying, can I place a buy limit and sell limit immediately before news using FX Pesa? Yeah, so that's a very good question, David. I usually get this question a lot regarding limit orders. So just first understand what limit orders are. Limit orders are pending orders that are normally set that allow us to have or to benefit from an execution at a later stage in the future. Limit orders typically are tied to a strategy. Sometimes people use them as a way of managing their risk, and they are a smart way of trading, I would say. Now, we know or we understand that usually when we're trading news, we typically have something that we call slippage. Slippage typically happens when the spread for some of these pairs tends to increase a lot. And remember, if you have a limit order, your limit order is going to be executed, most likely executed around the time when a news has been released. And it's very likely that the execution will happen at a time when there is that slippage happening because of a news event. The spreads increase very rapidly to the upside, and of course you get executed at a level that you have not desired to have your trade executed. Now, it is definitely a smart idea to have limit orders. However, of course, setting your limit orders before the news, that would be something that I would vouch for, especially since you might not be comfortable with your trade getting executed at market, right? But you just need to be cognizant of the fact that sometimes there's slippage. And if I set my limit order, say for instance on a NASDAQ around here, okay, if I'm setting maybe say a buy limit of 0.25 for the NASDAQ, and I've set it at this price level, it's going to appear on the screen. Give me a moment. Okay, so this is a buy limit for the NASDAQ that is below the market price, and this buy limit is at the price of 19,695. Now, if I do get affected by slippage on my limit order, my desired entry point that I want the broker to execute me at or fill my order at is 19,695. But due to slippage, it's going to move a little bit. So it might move a little bit lower or it might move a little bit higher, which meant that it will not be your desired price of execution, but your limit order will be executed. Now, what do I advise? If you know that you want to benefit from trading news, you need to use FXpesa's Premier account, because FXpesa's Premier account, even during times of high volatility news like NFP, if you're trading something like NASDAQ that typically has about 100 points, right? During news, the most they are going to slip you, or the news will slip you by, is maybe say 50 to 60 points. Now, if you're trading on the currencies like EURUSD, Premier account normally has between 1 to about 3, 4, 5 pips. Sometimes it even goes to 0 pips. So if you get slipped on EURUSD, you're most likely going to get slipped by 15, 12 pips. There'll be very few pips. Now, if you have a standard account, typically the pips, even during calm markets or markets like this now, if you're trading like right now, the pips are normally about 20, 25. They are still wide, right? But not in comparison to Premier account. But now during news, they'll widen. They'll widen substantially. So you're going to be in a position whereby you wanted your buy limit on EURUSD, okay, to be triggered, say maybe around here, so that in case maybe the market triggers that level and then moves back up, due to slippage, your trade is going to be moved a little bit lower or a little bit higher. Okay. Yeah. So you just need to take note of that. So what I can advise David is you might want to open up FXpesa's Premier account, have it verified so that you're able to trade on an account that you're comfortable on. Okay. Yeah. So I hope that helps David with that question. How do I close partials on FXpesa? Yeah, so closing partials, I understand what you mean by closing partials. You're ideally saying that how do you, if for instance you want to close some trades early, or you have some trades that you want to close. So the ideal way to go about it is now let's say this is an account, and let's assume this is a live trading account with FXpesa, and you have different things. So here we have some trades open for Nvidia and some trades open for DE40. Okay, now the functionality of MT5 when it comes to trade management is the same on the computer and on the phone. Okay, it's the same. The way you manage your trades is the same. Now let's say for instance I'm trading GBPUSD, okay, at market, and I open some trades. Okay, so let me say I buy maybe GBPUSD, I sell maybe USD cards. Okay, these are just random trades I'm opening. And then I come maybe to DE40. I have a trade open from DE40 from yesterday. I come maybe and I buy it. Okay, now when you hard press on your MT5 for the mobile, when you hard press your positions, there's going to be a screen that will open up. Okay, you can try it. There's going to be a screen that will open up. And at the bottom of the screen, I'm talking about the phone, you're going to have something that is called bulk operations. So you just click bulk operations, and the bulk operations, the same way also, is the same thing like the one on the desktop. Okay. What it's showing is that it's showing you different ways you can go about your trades, how to manage your trades. It's saying close all positions. Now, from your question, you said partials. So partials means that you're taking maybe a portion of your trades, okay, or maybe you're leaving some trades open. So that's how one way you can manage, right? One way you can manage your trades. Now the other way is by actually doing it on the screen itself. Okay, even on the phone you can actually close your trade from the screen. When you go to your MT5 chart, let's say I have a buy for EURUSD, I can close it automatically from my screen. Even on the phone you can also do the same. Okay, so you have many ways to go about it. It's now up to you. It's up to you to decide now, how do you want to go about managing your trades. Okay, yeah. And meanwhile, closing trades with FX Spacer is instant. Okay, you won't be able to get any delays when you're doing that. All right. Any more questions? Questions? Okay, just a moment. I'm going to get to your questions. Okay. Juliet, you're saying, how is GBPUSD, GBPJPY pairs for today? Are they likely to sell or buy? So I think, yeah, Juliet, good morning. So for GBPUSD, just like I've spoken, I mentioned that from the trade that we took on Wednesday, it was a sell, and I'm still expecting if indeed we get higher NFP numbers, we should see a continued sell for the pound. It's just broken briefly a bit, slightly above our asymmetrical triangle, but usually when we are trading Fibonacci retracements, we normally look to sell in a downtrend market or in a downtrend structure. We normally aim to sell after the price action breaks slightly above our golden ratio. That's why I've set sell limits there, so that if we get them triggered, then we can hold them for a continued downtrend move for the pound towards here. So that's really what I'm keeping an eye out for, to see how that evolves. Now, looking at GBPJPY, GBPJPY, just like USDJPY, has still been exhibiting a lot of bullish momentum. And of course, this is because the Bank of Japan keeps changing its commentary regarding what they're going to do with interest rates. On one hand, they are saying that they are going to go slow with cutting, rather hiking. Then on the other hand, they come in saying that they are going to hike soon. So they keep changing with their commentary. But if anything, the weakness of the pound is definitely allowing the yen to test lower levels. However, we have just gotten a golden cross, which is bullish right now for the GBPJPY, and that means that we might see a continued move to the upside towards that 195 zone. That is for GBPJPY. So I hope that helps. So those are two different approaches to the pairs. Pound dollar, I'm expecting to sell. Pound JPY, I'm looking towards a potential sell, potential buy. Yeah. So for oil, I'm really not monitoring oil, but I know at least yesterday we had oil spiking higher. Oil right now is mostly reacting to fundamentals. So yes, you can apply your technicals to it, but it's reacting more to fundamentals than technical. So of course there was a spike yesterday, and this spike was due to what we got from the commentary that we got from Biden, who said that he's going to be targeting the Iran fields. So of course we are seeing right now oil is actually moving to the upside, and this could likely continue, especially due to the uncertainty that we are seeing from Middle East. So if I'm trading it purely on fundamentals, then I'll be aiming for a buy on oil. Awesome. All right. I guess that's it. Don't have any more questions. There's someone from Nigeria. You're asking about trading gold. So for gold, okay. So Jackie, you're saying morning, sir. Please explain something. Yes, Saki Forex are saying greetings from Nigeria, boss. Just want to try trade gold today. Please, what's your view on it? So for gold, like I said, we should see a knee-jerk reaction to the downside from on higher NFP numbers. Definitely, we are likely to see gold spiking lower towards 2,640, and of course, we will then see it recovering to the upside. I don't think we're going to go into the weekend with gold selling. Very unlikely. The tensions are extremely elevated right now. It's very likely that in the weekend there's going to be more and more tensions, more escalation. Just yesterday, I saw Emirates has closed their flights out in and out of Israel, Iran, and Lebanon. So it's quite serious. Germany also told their citizens to leave Israel. To safeguard themselves from that uncertainty. So the NFP number definitely might be bullish for the dollar. So we might get just a slight retracement before we see it recovering on those deep buying due to that uncertainty that we have at the moment in the markets. Yeah. So guys, I think that's really it for today. Jackie, you're asking about sentiment analysis. For sentiment analysis, you look at bullish sentiment, bearish sentiment. Those are the two types of sentiment we have in the market. So you're looking on what fundamentals or what news is driving bullish sentiment. It could be bullish sentiment on a currency, it could be bullish sentiment on a commodity, bullish sentiment on a stock. There are a variety of assets where you look at sentiment. So when you look at bullish sentiment, you're looking at things like economic releases or economic indicators. That is for the case of currencies. Then, of course, on the other hand, you're looking at central bank announcements or central bank actions. That's also for currencies. Then for commodities or for metals like gold, you're looking at geopolitical tensions, normally cause bullish sentiment on gold due to the uncertainty. When you have, a weaker dollar, gold also has a lot of bullish sentiment because you see more buying there. When you have news like central bank purchases of gold, that's all aligns to bullish sentiment. Then for the stocks, we normally look at the earnings. We are now in the earnings cycle. We are going to be tackling earnings mostly next week because next week is when we see the earnings really kicking in. But the earnings, if the earnings are positive for a stock, then normally we see bullish sentiment for that stock. If there's a merger and acquisition, when a company says it's going to be acquired by another company, or when a company says it's going to do work with another company, like for instance, we saw Apple buying recently because Apple said they are going to do work with OpenAI, the guys that created ChatGPT. So that is bullish sentiment. Just sometime last year, we saw there's a company that owns WWE. I'm forgetting what it's called, but they said that they're going to partner with Netflix so that they can bring Netflix, they can bring wrestling shows onto Netflix. That's bullish sentiment because Netflix jumped after that, So that's how you organize your sentiment. So there are many ways for you to track sentiment. You can track sentiment online. You can use different resources like Bloomberg. You can use Forex Factory. All those normally will give you information about different releases on news, key reports, and all these kinds of things. Yeah, so I hope that helps. I guess there's also a video which we have done on FX Pesa's channel. So you can just check, you can just search for a video on sentiment for maybe a much deeper view on what sentiment is like and how you can track it. All right. Yeah. Farouk KE, you're asking about signals. So signals are provided by FX Pesa in FX Pesa's Telegram group. So all you need to do is just search for FX Pesa on Telegram. Make sure that the FX Pesa you're joining is one that is verified. It typically has a tick. You're going to find a blue check mark right next to FX Pesa. So that's when you'll know that it's the one. And then all you need to do is just join that group, and then you'll be able to see signals there. So the signals are posted. Each signal has a confidence level where you'll be able to determine its accuracy, whether it is positive or negative. So then you can be able then to see how to go about it. Okay. All right, guys, I think that's it from me. I wish you all happy trading. Side Newton, you're saying after you open, you close immediately. Guys, that's really up to you. You're the one who is entirely in charge of your trading account. You just have to make sure that you have a strategy about opening trades and closing them, a strategy about managing risk, a strategy about trading strategy. All these things need to be taken care of. Then you can see how to proceed from there. Okay, guys, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having most of you here. I wish you all happy trading. Yeah, so just maybe a couple of announcements for those of you that are based in Kenya or that are based in Kisumu. There's going to be an FX Pesa masterclass that's going to be happening on the 10th of October. It's going to have Robert Mbogo, who's the markets educator. So I would urge you all to make sure you attend. Then also, for those of you that might not be aware, FX Pesa has virtual sessions every day at 11 a.m. Rather Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. So you can find the links to those sessions in the bio below this video here, so that you can join us for those sessions. We normally go through the markets, we discuss different charts, and we look for trading opportunities. Yeah. All right, guys, I wish you all a happy day and all the best ahead of NFP. Cheers.